Good morning. I'm Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage on your side, your wisdom guided oracle, and we're having coffee in my beautiful mountain mug because it seemed like the one that needed to come out of the cupboard this morning with a beautiful bear and trees, and reminds me of one of my favorite places to go in the summertime. So how are you all feeling? We've had some huge X-class solar flares. We've had some big coronal mass ejections, and we are being prompted to shift in so many ways. This looks like fatigue, more sadness, disjointedness, spaciness, pain, more pain, sleep issues, so many things working on our physical right now. And one of the things that is very physical, and honestly, I'm not sure why this came through as to what needed to be said, but very physical in origin is our ego. And I forgot to put chat up here, and let's see. Oh, yay, the other one disappeared. Restream gave me some problems this morning, so wasn't sure how that was going to look. Hopefully my screen is correct, so you'll see the cards. Good morning, Julia. So the ego. We hear a lot of negative stuff about the ego. One of the big ones is edging God out. Great morning, Susan, to you too. And being all up in our selfness and, the boastfulness, the don't think of anybody elseness, all of that. But the truth is the ego is what keeps us going. It is what keeps us in that belief that we can do something, especially in those times when, you've kind of been slapped down for a while. And good morning, Heather. And you're feeling less than powerful. You're feeling less than victorious, and everything kind of seems to be working against you. But you get up that next day and you put one foot in front of the other and you enter this next day. That's your ego. And the ego is that power that combines with God to say, you really can do this life. You can bring forward what you need to make it through. And yeah, it's an interesting, certainly an interesting world we're living in. And one of the reasons we're feeling so discombobulated is because things are moving so fast. Good morning, Madeline. Is Oh yeah, one of the reasons is timelines are speeding up in 2025. Things are happening quickly, and we're a physical presence here, and it can be very unsettling. And so what's kind of fun is when I asked, what set of cards needs to bring us the message today, it was this very fun tarot set for me. The Kitchen Tarot, which is a very playful energy type of tarot. And it's basically just the major arcana tarot cards, but it's all based on the kitchen and the home, really. Of course, they're very right in the fact that, the first card that came up is something that's in my kitchen, but not something we think of totally in the kitchen. But the next set of cards that came up was Native Spirit. We can tend to believe that our ego is separate from spirit, but the ego is within us, as is spirit. And having them intertwined is a very healthy balance. The ego can get out of control and overpowering and all usness, but the spirit can also get out of control, that spiritual focus. There was an old saying that we used to hear in church: so spiritually minded, they're no earthly good. We need to have a balance. You absolutely want to live in spiritual connection, but we have to live in this physical world. So we've got to have that worldly connection. The first card that came up with Native Spirit was Dream Traveler. One of the things that is happening right now is our dreams can be getting very amped up, very present, ones that we remember and hold in our field, hold in our mind. I have traditionally throughout my life been, for a minute, nothing else is up right now. But again, all of this solar energy coming in is playing and messing with the digital field right now too. So just know that. So dream traveler, the dream time is when we work out things. The ego comes up with the things that we want to work on, things we need to sort out during that time. And so it is, as much as you can remember dreams, pay attention to what's coming through, and also be very mindful of your input, particularly right before bedtime. I got to tell you, I was watching the last season available to me, which is season 6 of Outlander, last night before we went to bed. And I was traveling, time traveling in my dreams. And so that is going to influence what comes up for you. And I don't remember the essence. I remember feeling very out of sorts in the dream. I've been feeling kind of out of sorts in my everyday life. So it could be too a working through of that. So know that the ego is what helps us remain. The ego is what helps us stay in this very physical aspect we call life. It creates in us the belief that we do have enough of what it takes to continue to stick around in this life. And so the next card that came up from Native Spirit for this overview is the medicine bag. And this is all about provisions. This is all about bringing to you the things you need to continue on in whatever that looks like for you. What is your path here? Many of the people that tune in to me, not all of them by far, but many of them are retired. And that is where we can really get in the weeds about, what am I still here for? I'm no longer doing this job that has defined me. Men are particularly subjected to this. The average lifespan of a man after retirement is 2 years, because their whole identity, and many women too, is what they did. But that's not all that we came to do. So provide for yourself. What else did you come to do? How can you work that through in this lifetime? What is it you need to continue? And that certainly is your ego stepping up and going, yeah, my life's not over. I am not just this job. I am not just this thing that I was. I am way more than that. And we want to connect regularly with spirit to receive that continual awareness of what comes before us that will move us more fully into the next segment of our life, that next path, when we actually have more time available to us to develop this path. And so it's very important to pay attention to your dream aspects, because that's going to be working out some of the issues you have with your everyday life. And then the medicine bag, finding classes, books, videos that feed the soul purpose, that give us guidance, direction, and possibilities for this time in life. And if you're not retired, that is still a thing, because you don't have to be retired to walk both paths, to bring yourself back in. Good morning, Janet. Back into the path. When you're working a job, raising a family, and all of that, you can get very much in the weeds of that. But you are that spiritual being here having a human experience. And so possibly that path is guiding your children into the divinity of who they are. The both aspects. We're human, we're divine. We want to bring in both of those. Then the next card that came up from the Kitchen Tarot is the calendar. These are very busy cards. They're very fun. They're very playful. This is the moon, the cycles. We are in different cycles, and every day is a different cycle, but then every week becomes a unified different cycle. Every month, as the moon goes through its phases, that's the equivalent here is the moon card, tapping into the shifting energies of the moon. It's a monthly cycle. We are very much affected by the moon. And the moon also represents our intuitive, mystical aspects. So you want to be open, willing, and ready to spirit to keep being given insights, awarenesses, and understandings, and be open to the things coming in through the cycles that are for you. That, like I said, another class that may be what you need to move more fully into your path. There are some things, and one of the things that I have traditionally done, and I've beaten myself up for, up until now, and up until recently, although I got to say, still up until now, because I have a class that my access to will end in March, and I've only done like 2 of the modules. But the truth is, I received a lot. Don't know that I really need more from that class. So these unfinished classes, I have gleaned from them what I needed. You don't have to finish everything. Gain from it the things that you need. And when you no longer feel inspired to get back to it, move on. Allow that to pass. The next one is the compost pot, which is death. And with death is also rebirth, death to the old, bringing in the new. We can't keep bringing in if we don't release, if we don't let go of some of the things. The ego is very good at keeping us in the awareness of who we are. It's kind of like that class thing. I'm a Gemini, and I'm a very fast thinker. And I egoically, and this was a positive ego. Years ago when I was doing hospice, I was a director of nursing for a new hospice, and I was also a nurse consultant for assisted living facilities. And as I was working with this one administrator, also in the hospice and in the assisted living, that's where we met, was assisted living. As we'd worked together for years, all of the sudden, and this happened with a nurse before that who I was working with in long-term care as a regional nurse. I'll just say it in mine, but we said my mediocre is everyone else's best. And that is egoic, but it is also in the egoic sense of allowing my ability to pick things up quickly and know when I've had enough of that to move forward. Know who you are. Allow your ego to accept the wonderfulness of the things that you may well have beaten yourself up for in the past, and allow yourself to move forward in that ego that says you have certain things that you're really good at, and it is okay to acknowledge those. It's not okay for you to be disdainful of others who do not hold those same abilities. They have different abilities. This just brought to mind a friend of mine, a very old friend of mine. When our children were growing up, we would get together and, have a little party, dinner together, and we would play Pictionary or Trivial Pursuit. Trivial Pursuit particularly is the one that I'm referencing. And this person and her husband, both very slow thinkers. This girl would just get very impatient. But we didn't have a timer in Trivial Pursuit. So she would receive this question, and we'd sit there and sit there and sit there. But after a while, I knew it's like, she's going to get this. She would slowly process this question, and she would get to the answer almost every time. And I had to. She was also one that would be chronically late. And me, as a fast moving person, for many years, I surrounded myself with people who were chronically late because it irritated the life out of me. Finally, I got to the place of acceptance. And then I would also tell her our event would start 30 minutes earlier than it actually did. So, my ego could really step in there. And then I learned to understand that she had an incredibly powerful way of moving through the world that was very different than my way of moving through the world. So your ego can be a real helpmate in believing who you are, trusting that your process is unique to you and it is okay. And it doesn't need to be the same as everyone else's. And that's where the ego can take on a bad rep, where we start putting the way we process life onto the others around us. We want to learn to accept that we all process differently, which is why we're all bringing through different things, which is exactly what the world needs from you, your difference. That also eliminates that competition thing we can have business wise, personal wise with other people. The world doesn't need 100 Taylor Swifts or 1,000,000 Taylor Swifts. The world needs one Taylor Swift and one Victoria Savage. Not that I was going to say, not that I ever wanted to be Taylor Swift. The truth is, in my younger years, I would have died to be Taylor Swift in her singing and in her performing, because that definitely was something I wanted to do. Wasn't for me in this lifetime. Maybe it was in a past, but we want to let go of, and that's what the compost pile is, the compost pot is getting rid of that which is no longer useful to us, the vegetable scraps, putting them in, letting them go, the compost pile, and turning them so that they can create something we can use, something that is good for us in life. Letting go of those things that no longer serve us, allow us to let go of the belief systems that served us as a child. Like, that saying would go, the things that saved you as a child will kill you as an adult. We want to let go of those things. And then the last card that came up was, I love this, the colander. I have to put on my glasses because I don't remember what the equivalent was and it's not saying it. It is saying just the colander, which is a 0. But this is the innocent one who helps us all to purify. It was the sifting through, which is what I was getting. The allowing the things you no longer need in your life to fall through those colander holes, to allow the failures, I can't believe I did that thing, where what I tell people don't do, I'm so stupid, because we're pounding this belief into ourselves, allowing things to fall away that no longer serve you. As we leave, as we retire and move out of a job that defined us, we want to let go of those definitions. We want to let them fall through the cracks so the essence remains, the truth, the purity of who we are, of what we wanted to be in another aspect. That does not mean that we have failed in this lifetime to be this thing. It means everything in this lifetime is added into the recipe that has created us. And now we are allowing the things that no longer serve us, the things we no longer need, to fall away and to be purified as we rinse that stuff that's in the colander with love, with acceptance, with joy, with ease in the forward movement. Then we can allow the true essence of who we are now to be seen without the defining aspects of the other moments in life. Those old things that are no longer us. I am no longer that new nurse working in the hospital. I'm no longer the hospice nurse. I'm no longer the assisted living consultant. I am an integrative wellness nurse now. I understand and bring through the wholeness of who we are as body, mind, spirit, and work to help people move from powerlessness to empowerment, to using their essence, the very energy of who they are, to come through and allow them to learn to work with that. So, nurse was very much my identity, and I will always be a nurse. I've always been a healer. And now it's a different kind of healing that I help people do. Sometimes it's very physical in what's going on. And in evolution has happened with me. I've spoken about the light or the mandalas that I've been creating. I didn't know why. I just knew I wanted to do it. I had to get through these things, get them down on the paper. And then a lovely friend in a gathering said, "Oh, this is light language." And I went, like I do with anything that I discover that is possibly coming through me. It's like, okay, not really sure what that is. 2 days ago, it was, this is how you can help enact more healing, is holding the essence of the person who needs the healing and creating that mandala. around their healing energies and bringing through light language that's going to help them heal even more quickly. So we are always evolving and changing. We need to let the ego help us do that, in that belief that we can be more than what we are today. We have everything we need within us. Everything goes on. That's the new acronym for ego. Everything goes on. And we want to be allowing that continual release of the old, bringing in the new, allowing us to be okay in the newness of who we are every day. Some days we're better humans than others, but we are all of these things, the body, mind, and spirit. And all of them are constantly evolving into a movement closer to the divine path we came in to serve. I think we are complete for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage, on your side, your wisdom guided oracle. Until we meet again.